Information, passing that on. Let's pull up the first map, give you a good idea of where those targets are that were being hit throughout the course of this particular day. Here, as the U.S. started their attacks, they were in the highlighted areas that you see right here to the west of Afghanistan, also down to the south, and then also an airfield that was located up to the north of Afghanistan. If we can go on to the next map that we have for you this evening, I want to show you an airfield. This airfield you see on the center of your screen there, right there, that is an airfield where Kerry Sanders was telling us a short time ago that the facilities were being attacked. That airfield is very, very important, and the battle is going on in that area right now, and some of the airfields right there in that area are being hit. That's the latest right now. Jennifer and Michael, back over to you.
Willard, thank you. And the first director of the Office of Homeland Security reported for duty today as top government officials continue to warn all Americans to be vigilant against the threat of more attacks on the United States. Signs of the heightened security are evident around New York City, including the site of the World Trade Center devastation. Similar precautions are taking place right here in South Florida as well. Nick Bogert is live on Watson Island with the latest on what's going on there. Nick?
Well, Homeland Security, certainly the watchword of the day, and a new agency and some new safety rules are in place. Boaters may be among the first to notice those new safety rules as new curbs on pleasure boating kick in around area ports. The nation gets an Office of Homeland Security, its first director saying,
"We will find something for every American to do."
Some new can't-dos around South Florida ports, bans on recreational boating. In Miami, government cut is closed off from the west end of Dodge Island to the Fisher Island Ferry when cruise ships are coming, going, or moored in port. The western portion of Port Everglades Basin has also been sealed off to pleasure craft. Violators could face felony charges. The Coast Guard, aided by local police agencies, will enforce the boating bans.
I'm sure everyone can understand what's at stake here. We realize this will be an inconvenience to the boating public, but there are other ways to get around, so we do appreciate everybody's help and understanding.
Meanwhile, American Globetrotters get a warning. The State Department urging U.S. citizens abroad to limit their movements and stay in touch with the nearest embassy. Garment exec Ron Beatty ponders limiting his business travel.
If it continues to build up, I'm heading out to like Indonesia and India and those places, so I will definitely be cautious about it.
The FAA says it's beefing up security at air traffic control facilities in the wake of the bombing in Afghanistan. The Attorney General puts agencies like the Border Patrol and FBI on highest alert. Security around nuclear plants and waterworks is being strengthened. Local police agencies are being asked to follow suit, though Broward sheriffs and Miami-Dade police say that will mean few changes, that they're already in a state of extra readiness. Average citizens urged to be vigilant as well.
We want people to have preparations and not panic. We want people to be alert, but we do not want people to forfeit the liberties which America stands for.
Back live now at the Port of Miami, the boating bans on recreational boating set to be in effect at least through next June. Meanwhile, late today we learned of a new FAA directive for those who are flying. From now on, you can only bring on one carry-on piece of luggage plus a purse or a briefcase. Again, that word from the FAA late today. We're live at the Port of Miami. Nick Bogert, NBC6.
Nick, thank you. And the military strikes are happening thousands of miles from U.S. soil.
But one of the many effects can be felt right here at home. Just ahead, we will take a look at how the stock market is reacting to the news from Afghanistan.
And we're also going to tell you.
Buildings, airports.
Terrorist attacks among Americans.
But as we report on these ongoing events, some believe the media is creating even more paranoia. Senior correspondent Ike Siemens is here with more on that.
Well, there's no question the September 11th disaster set off fear like nothing we've ever seen before in this country. And there's no doubt the airing over and over of those horrific scenes added to that. Then there were the stories, many of those that I did, warning about possible horrible things like biochemical attacks. Those stories need to be told to educate an unaware public. But to those who believe it could never happen here, well, they were just afraid. They didn't want to hear it, and that is just what the terrorists want. Fear is the goal of terrorism. That was accomplished on September 11th. Now, bin Laden is doing it again.
I swear by Allah that the United States will have no peace.
Is bin Laden succeeding in scaring the daylights out of everyone in America?
Unfortunately, bin Laden has been eminently successful in magnifying the threat to everybody's living rooms to the point where people are literally afraid to leave their apartments or their homes.
And this will lead to the destruction of American civilization. Just after the tragedy, NBC6 started rerunning terrorism stories I'd done several years ago. Some viewers went wild. Why are you scaring us? My children can't sleep after seeing your stories. I don't want to know. When they first were shown, no complaints. Probably because it couldn't happen here. Steve Emerson and other terrorism experts have experienced the same problem. No one believed them either until tragedy struck.
Somebody once said that democracies don't act until there's blood in the street.
You've been sounding the warning for a long time. Now it's actually here.
I think Americans will get used to a certain amount of fear, and then they will reduce the amount of anxiety they have and allow themselves to do things they wouldn't ordinarily do at this point.
Now, what I've been telling people is this: fear is overcome by knowledge. Knowledge can bring hope and confidence to defeat the terrorists who want to scare us to death. Don't be afraid to learn about the dangers. They aren't going away. But even today, I got an email from a man complaining that we're showing stories about anthrax, and he says, I'm afraid, I don't want to hear it. That's not the solution. That's as the Attorney General said, you fall right into their hands if you don't learn what the problems can be.
And from Northern Ireland to the Mideast that you covered extensively, you've seen instructive lessons about how you have to have the knowledge to overcome the fear.
You're always afraid in those situations, but if you learn, you won't be afraid anymore.
And not just knowledge to overcome the fear, but to overcome the problem entirely.
That's right. But the bad thing to do is hide under the bed.
Ike, thank you very much for your report and insights. Moving on to our weather, we were warned that this hurricane season would be a busy one, and it's certainly living up to all of those predictions.
Chief Meteorologist.
All eyes on Wall Street as America attacks. The stock